What's up, people? How you doing? How you doing this evening? I apologize for making you wait a little bit. I was hoping to have the game be fully over, but obviously that's not the. I didn't want to wait another 30 minutes. I know that some people are gonna want to sleep afterwards over there. It's late, but I just had to mow the lawn. I had to do some shit that I did during the halftime or the in between extra time portion. So I'm kind of sweaty. So I apologize. I apologize. It is hot out here. So how you guys doing today? Good this evening? How you doing? Mbeumo and Yakarish. Ooh, Stuart. I know. Patience. Ooh, patience. Yes, patience. Patience is necessary. Patience is what we need. Um, Patience is what we need. A little bit of. I'll talk about it all here in a second. We'll get going. Sorry, it is. I don't know if I look sweaty, but it's hot. Get this man a fan. I know. Parth, welcome to the Pro Muppet. Thank you very much. I did put out a little video last night, so better not be clickbait. You're at work? Where you live? It is clickbait. It's always clickbait. I even said clickbait in the title. It says Mbeumo Spurs hijack! Exclamation one! Exclamation one! Exclamation parentheses clickbait. Um. Oh my God, it is too hot. I'm sorry. I am dying here. But yes, look, there's a few things we got to talk about. We're gonna talk about the Mbeumo deal because I know some people are kind of panicking. Um, hello. Which they shouldn't. You shouldn't. Let me say that now before I talk about it a bit more. You shouldn't be panicking. There's no reason to panic. Oof, there's a fight. There's no reason to freak out. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to lose your mind on the Mbeumo deal. Let's all relax. Let's all wait. Let's all chill. We'll talk about that. I want to give you a little more detail on Yakarish because if you remember, I think it was on the 4th, 4 days ago, I spoke about Yakarish and we were sitting here doing a live talking about Mbeumo and I got some messages and I said, okay, there's a little bit that I can share, and I kind of picked my words very carefully for that update, if you remember. Okay. Mendes, there's another great Portuguese player, one of the best wingbacks in the world, best fullbacks in the world. I gotta say, fullbacks, you watch like Champions League knockout run, all that kind of stuff, the final. Fullbacks are the new superstars, man. Fullbacks are the new wingers. Fullbacks are everything. Incredible players. Mendes, who played under Ruben Amorim at Sporting. What a player he is. All right. Cooling off. But look, I shared a little bit of an update at that time, and I'll share a little more specifically exactly what I heard. No, I was okay. I was mowing the lawn, and it's not that hot. Gunter, welcome to the Pro Muppet. It's not that hot, but it is warm. It's like 80 degrees and sunny, and I was mowing the lawn. 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like 20 for you guys over there or something. And you know how it is like when you get your heart rate up and you're working hard. It's not like you just immediately stop sweating and like cool off afterwards, even though it's quite cool in my house. So yes. So I'm gonna play you this clip real quick from last week. All right, from me. Hold on. What I will say is very good sources that I've spoken with, and that I got a message from today about this. Also get the impression that I have, which is that like once we get through our other deals and make our sales, there's an expectation among people that Gyokeres is kind of there for us,
kind of waiting for us, and that it's the main clear target that we have on the table for striker, and there's people that expect we're going to do it once we get the sales in, and so it's just another source of information, a good source, essentially confirming to me that that is the plan. That once we can sell and finalize our other deals, then he'll likely come to us. And that, from the player's perspective, they get the impression he might be waiting on us. So it's just an impression. It's not a huge thing, but it is a good source. And it aligns with everything that I've been hearing. So,
All right. So basically, this was from last week. And there was a reason I got the message at that time. Holy cow, I'm sweating. Give me like 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. I run so incredibly warm in the summer months that I literally like cannot stop sweating sometimes. um, so today, what Fabrizio, oh, Jesus Christ, what Fabrizio revealed and put out, I'll show it in particular because I think some people only got the good lord, what's wrong with you guys? Some people only got the aggregation, okay? Some people only got the aggregation, and I want you to go have a shower. No, it's all good. It's all good. So I want to share that as well here. So, it was all Arsenal, and then this was the specific. All right, look, this was the specific. Okay. And I think that people only got the aggregation, which was like, oh, maybe Gyokeres is possible or something like that. Okay. Um, and it said Man United hold more talks over Gyokeres this week. It says sources reveal that Manchester United have more contacts with all parties involved in the Gyokeres deal this week. Do you understand what that means? That means that we spoke to Sporting this week to talk about Gyokeres. We spoke to Sporting this week. All right, dude. CRG, you can head off to a different channel then. That's all good. You can find your own information if you don't like the way I present it. It's that simple for you. But yeah, we have contacts with Sporting this week to understand how things were developing, to know that means players, Sporting, the agents involved, everybody. That means we have actually started this. We have actually started this move. It means Manchester United remain in the race and are informed every step of the story as we're aware of other clubs. Now, I want to clear this up because this is what I've said, and it really does confirm this, okay? Sources believe Champions League football was probably going to facilitate the deal for Manchester United, but the final in Bilbao killed that possibility. And so financially, for Manchester United, it's way more complicated to proceed with this move. But until Gyokeres' move gets advanced with another club, we're informed and are in contact as they've been again this week. So I want to understand this because some people were thinking he needed Champions League in order to join us. Look what it says. Champions League was going to facilitate the deal, killed the possibility, and so financially, right? And this is the point I've been making about the Gyokeres deal in particular, is that the holdback on this is purely financial. This is our only problem right now with moving forward on this deal is financial. He's our top target. He's our main target. He's the guy that we want to go for. He's the guy that we want to buy. He's the guy that we want to get done. Congrats on leading all three stories. Thank you, KF. Appreciate that. Yakarish for 60 million or Mateta valid at 35 and PL proven. What one is more likely to make a difference, Jason? Well, I don't think that Mateta is 35 million. I don't think that Mateta is 35 million, right? I think that that's incorrect. I do think he's going to be 50 plus, and he's going to be getting a new contract at Palace. But I would say even then, go for the better player. You know what I mean? Even then, go for the better player, right? Go for the better player. That's the most important thing. Is we should be going for the better player, not the bargain bin purchasing. This was the point that Ruben Amorim had made prior to the Europa League final when he was talking like, I'm going to quit. You know what I mean? He was saying, look, I want the better player. I want the better player, not the bargain price player. I want somebody who's really good. I want somebody who's going to make a difference. George Hollingworth, thank you for the donation. I want that. That's what I want. I want someone who's really going to make it. You know, I want someone who's going to do something. You know, I want the best players to come in more than I want, you know, us to be bargain hunting. Reports of Sancho heading to Rockdale FC for 15. Very nice. So this is really like the main point here on this is that, and you'll note that once again, what was confirmed is before the Europa League final, we started those talks up. And I said when this whole Delap thing was developing that I believe they already knew we weren't getting Liam Delap. Okay. And I was pretty certain of that because we started talks with Yakarish and we started talks with Mbeumo. And we went from like, maybe we'll have the money for Cunha and Delap, and then we'll be, I don't know, and we build a young team and we're going to buy all these young prospects, to suddenly we're moving on the other best winger in the Premier League, not named Mo Salah after Cunha, and we're moving on Gyokeres and making contact and having discussions with him. And it changed because, you know, essentially the way that it was put is like the assessment was, this is it, man. Like, we got to go for it. We have to actually go for it. You know, we've got to actually try to build a top team here. And I think that Amorim's feeling, to a degree, among others, I know it's hard to see it, and I know that a lot of people don't like it, but the feeling is that you get 3 top goal scorers in, and this is immediately a very different team. And it's crazy when you're in like 15th, but you have to, you know, goals win games, and so many games have been decided by such little margins simply because we couldn't score goals. You think about the final purely on the basis that we couldn't score. I think Spurs made one shot, you know what I mean? Like one shot and they score. We won't score in 180 minutes, you know? They make the difference to the entire game state where we're up a goal, but we can't put it to bed. Or it's 0-0, we can't score. We can't. How many times through the season did we see it's 0-0, 0-0, and we can't score? We miss our chances. And then at the end of it, and then later on we concede. Wolves, you know, Forest, so many, City, Arsenal games that we would have won if we had actually just been able to finish our chances and take them, that we were creating. Like, it is an incredible number of games that we likely would have won if we simply just scored goals in the situation. And you have to look at how it changes the game state. We don't score at 0-0. We don't score, right? And then what happens? Teams can still be open. Then they score. They're ahead. 0-0. Sorry, excuse me. Pardon me, Zach. My apologies. You know, then they score and they sit back and they load the box with 11 men for the rest of the game, you know? And it's like, well, if they can't do that unless you're missing your shots, unless you are not getting your chances. You know, that's why teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, and City, you know, it's so much harder for teams, and why they can run up margins against these teams very often against the lower sides, because they do get a lead. And then those clubs have to open up and stay a little bit more open than they want to be to try to go for it. I'm cooling off now. That it's all good. Do you think if SGR sells Nice, he reinvests in United? Yes, I do. And I think that that's not necessarily what he's waiting for, but I do think that will assist in the matter. We'll talk about Mbeumo, don't you worry. So, you know, there's what happened? Sorry, got distracted. But no, look, I mean the reality of the situation is we need to score a bunch of goals here. Whew. I'm finally like cooled off, so we'll just chill. All right. I thought that was a goal. That was confusing me. Sorry, I got really distracted. Um, so yeah, look, the reality is on Gyökeres, this is what I was told earlier in the week. So now I can say it with a little more detail. And there's a reason why there's a reason why I didn't want to, because bear in mind something for a second here, guys. Like I want to explain a little bit of the situation here. Um, like was in Fabrizio's article, there are other clubs interested. And I think that if we look at what happens here with Mbeumo, right? We make our move, and then 2 days later, people start running shit, about Thomas Frank wants. I'm not saying they're even false, okay, by the way, but Thomas Frank wants Mbeumo at Spurs, right? And whoever is saying it, it's whether there's any truth in it or not, it can put pressure on a deal, let's say something like that, right? And as soon as you start to like push forward a little bit on things, it can put a little bit of like extra pressure on things, okay? And that's what I don't want. We don't need that extra pressure on these types of deals while we're still needing to be ready financially to move on something like this, right? And while we're still, and the other factor is, you also have to bear in mind that the alternative factor in this, which is that we're in the middle of, um, we're in the middle of, what do you call it? Negotiations over Mbeumo. You start running your mouth saying, oh, by the way, yeah, we're buying Yakarish. Well, what does that tell Brentford when you're telling them, look, this is the money that we've got. This is our budget, which is true, by the way. But you don't, I worry sometimes about saying too much, and you can see why we're kind of playing it down and why nobody's wanting to talk about it. And in part on the United side, and it's because United don't want it running out there, blasting into the whole universe that we're chasing another striker after Mbeumo, because the financial aspects of this may not be, can make other deals more difficult. So you have to be, I'm trying to be semi-responsible on the United side as well, because you wouldn't believe that these things matter, like these things do matter. And we're not like the only people on it. But look, let's go back. Let me look at my messages that I was told that day. So yeah, I heard something else that I mentioned at the time that I'm not going to talk about. But really, what I was told is specifically that, basically, we had contact. We had contact at that time. That's why I was able to say, like, oh no, you'd be surprised, Issa. You'd be really surprised. I mean, look, I've said things on this video that have ended up in Jim Ratcliffe's interviews, okay? And I promise you, I'm not telling him that directly. I promise you, I stand in front of you, a hand on my heart, and I promise you, I'm not telling Jim Ratcliffe what to say in his interviews. I didn't send it to them. Somehow that got to him, and so I don't know who's watching at any point in time, okay? Yeah, but the stuff like Chelsea and Quenda, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if anybody's watching, it's Joe Shields and Chelsea and all of them. They're always lurking in the background for everything at any given time, right? Um, but look, the reality is that what I was told at that time is we had contact, and that's how I was able to say, we knew essentially, or we're getting the idea that he's pretty much waiting for us to come forward in a deal. He is very much, you can see on this, he's obviously open. Like Fabrizio was saying there, and like has been said, he is open. It's not about getting Champions League. A while back we said, right, like what if when Ruben Amorim was saying, I only want players who want to come to this club, he was talking about, Delap, not Gyökeres, because I told you that we knew, I was fairly certain we knew before Delap's decision was public that we weren't going to get him, and we'd started moving on all alternatives. So we're open to him. He's open to us. And we made contact last week. That's what I heard on that Wednesday. That's when I was told Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday that I was told at that time we made contact. We have had discussions. And essentially it's just, we just need the space to do it. Essentially that's it. We need the space to do it. We need it. That's where we're at. There's mods in here. They can get him. We need the space to do it. That's the truth of the matter. Once we've got the space, we should. Now, listen, I'm gonna say something. Of course, it's gonna take time because essentially we need the money. I never seemed convinced Delap is happening. No, and I kept saying I'm pretty positive we're prepared for others. And I told you when Delap wasn't happening that plan A was move immediately for Mbeumo. And that's exactly what we did. Because that was essentially the new plan was move for Mbeumo and then look at striker and feel that we had a little more time. Now, the reason we had a little bit more time on Mbeumo was because, or on Gyokeres, is because Mbeumo was in talks with multiple clubs. So we'll come back to that again. But I'm going to say this pretty quietly, all right? And listen to me. Do not listen. Aggregators. This is my opinion. I'm going to preface it saying this is my opinion. So do not aggregate it, okay? This is my opinion, I promise. It's my opinion. Do not aggregate it, okay? My opinion is that we can probably move for Gyokeres already financially, that we don't have to sell in order to get it. We don't have to sell in order to get him done. We don't. All right. We don't have to sell to get it done. I mean it. Do not. We don't have to sell to get it done. But we would like to wait to make sure our Mbeumo deal is done, to make sure that we are moving forward on some of our sales and things like that. And that if somebody else came in for Yakarish, which we're not expecting because we believe he will probably prioritize us. Again, my opinion, only my opinion, that's it, that we would move quickly on it to secure it and get it done. Okay? That's what I believe. That's my opinion. All right? So so yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. We'll see what happens. Okay? We'll see what happens. But we, because yes, there's the factor is we need to secure Mbeumo and we need sales. The reality is, because that was purely just my opinion, of course. The reality is, guys, you can aggregate this. We're broke. We have no money. The Mbeumo deal is difficult. The payment terms are going to be tough. We need Brentford to help us out a little bit or the deal won't happen. And we have no money, so we need this all to happen, and we need sales before we can move on to Yakarish, okay? That's the truth, okay? Aggregate that. We keep making a 5-year plan with young kids, but fans don't have the patience, but you need to do this when you're in top 4, not 16th. Now they know we must get Europe with experienced players, then build. Yes, I agree, GC. That is exactly what is happening, okay? Okay. I'm just trying to help. Okay? I'm just trying to help. Okay? I'm just trying to help. Okay? I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to negotiate through the media here a little bit, all right? I'm just, that's all. But yeah, look. It is. I see you. United Red Report. There you go, buddy. Thank you. But you got to be careful because it's over the top. It might affect the markets. I don't want to do that either. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you following to the plan. Uh, I appreciate you following to the plan. That was good. Thanks for that. Mbeumo to Spurs, broken heart satire. Yeah, I love it. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Great job, United Red Report. Thank you, buddy. That is too funny. You're gonna you're gonna have to delete that. You're gonna have to delete that. That's gonna be way over the top, guys. That was all tongue in cheek. Okay, it was all tongue in cheek. Um, could we get Ivan Toney to match with Mbeumo? I don't think we'll be interested. GC. Um, I don't think we'll be interested at this stage. You know, where did Ivan Toney go to Saudi? Um, but yeah, of course. but good job, nicely done, very nice. Um, I appreciate you though. I appreciate you sticking with the plan there. All right. But no, look, guys. 13. I know, but it's just gonna like, and then someone else is gonna pick it up and repeat it, and you know how it goes. Um, Saudi somewhere, yeah, yeah. Oh my God. You killed me. That was good. That was good. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have such a loyal grouping of friends in this community. Thank you guys. While you're here, like it. Thanks for hanging out Sunday night. I've got some more to talk about. I've got some more to talk about. But while you're here, make sure to like the video. They never saw it coming. While you're here, make sure to like the video. And all of that. It really does mean a lot. There's 1,800 people here, 238 likes. Let's go. We can get to at least 500. It really does help. I've been gaining so many subscribers recently on YouTube. It's been going up like crazy. We'll be at 30,000 really soon. And a huge part of it is that you guys liking the videos and things like that spreads it, helps it on the algorithm, gets it all around. We're like 1,000 away, but that's like maybe 5 days if it keeps going like it's been, and the likes and everything get things around. So I've been reaching new audiences, and that means a lot. So I appreciate you guys. So thank you guys. It costs nothing to like. So anyway, yes, as I was saying, yeah, they're going to penalties then, just about, aren't they, here in this game? Oh Lord, I'm glad I don't care too much about it because penalties stress me out. But no, so I think I've explained pretty well on the I think I've explained it pretty well on the Yakarish front. It's pretty much all about we got our contact, we've got the situation in place that we need to do, but we got to sell players. We've got to sell players. We must sell players in order to get things done. All right, and DMP. Yeah, just get rid of Hoyland. He could not score at a prostitute's picnic with a handful of 50s. You're not wrong. I mean, the guy. Look, I don't want to enter our kind of closing in a little bit here on an offer that could make something work here, but it's kind of mind-boggling to me. The guy doesn't even know when his contract is up. Like, is he? I don't want to be mean. I really don't want to be mean. I really don't. But there's some things that have happened in the last little while, on Hoyland, where I'm like, is this guy kind of like thick? Like, what happened? Like, it's very odd. All right. I mean, some of the things that he's done, I guess, would show really bad judgment. Okay, would show really bad judgment. One of them is going on being besties with a certain individual who's abusing and driving hate campaigns against your teammates. That shows pretty poor judgment. That's a bit of a red flag on the judgment side of things. And there's been quite a few things since then. There's been quite a few things since then. So I just wonder sometimes, and I'm like, but at the same time, Yeah, it just seems like he's poorly advised in some of the things that he does and acts, and I look at like some of the posts about like that he'll do, and it's like, I don't know, it just comes across like he's trying so hard. You know, there was the things with the celebration after Porto, and there was the thing with the celebration after, you know, the goal the other week, and that stuff I've looked at it, I'm just like, it's not outright bad, you know, like some of the other things other people have done, you know what I mean? It's not like outright bad, but I look at it and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like this is so the wrong time. You've scored 4 goals all season. You cannot be posting about how badly you needed a goal on social media when we haven't won a game. Like just what do you do? Like it's just not smart. Is it all totally wrong? No, maybe not, but it's just wrong, you know, like it's just it's not the right, like you're not reading the room on what is going on and understanding it, you know, when you're saying things like that you're not really getting, you know, the point, um of what is happening here, and understanding there's a time and a place to talk about certain things and do certain things, and that kind of is just I'm not even like a standards guy. There's a time and a place, like that's all, you know, like I think there was like I looked at some other posts and people would say like, you know, they would only post after like, oh, it was my first goal ever for United. If it was a draw or something, it would still post about it the next day. You know, happy to have my first goal ever for United, but you know, wish we could have got a result. But it's like the next day. You know what I mean? And it's like it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that. Like there's right ways to do things that are probably okay. That are probably okay. And that's all I'm asking for. But you know, if you can't read a defense, then you can't read the room. So it is what it is. Reading may not be the strong suit here. Sorry. I shouldn't. That's toxic, man. That's toxic, and I apologize. I apologize for being toxic, but that's all I'm saying. But look, that deal is certainly a possible one to enter. Um, that deal is certainly a possible one for Inter. I think that um, they're essentially, we're going to have to find a middle ground, where there's a loan plus an obligation. Um, you know, that's the truth of it. We're going to have to find a middle ground. And they're going to be trying to offer a loan. We're going to be wanting a sale. We kind of have already had these discussions over it. Um, Ramos with the first goal. There you go. Um, I think that Saudi should go for Ramos, don't you? By the way, they keep missing on all these strikers. I feel like Gonzalo Ramos would be a good one for them. Um, but yeah, look, they're looking for a loan to Inter. We're looking for a sale, right? No doubt about that. But I do think we're going to have to compromise and get some kind of obligation or conditional obligation. Um, there you go, United Red. I'm sorry. Um, you know, yeah, that we're gonna have to accept that, and I think that we'd be open to it. I think it does help us being able to predict it as long as the terms are at least pretty decent. You know, on that front, I think that the terms will have to be pretty decent. But it does seem like this is moving ahead. I believe that the coach that's coming in for Inter, from the signals I heard early, is pretty much fine for them moving forward with it, or at least, you know, encouraging. It is definitely not like it's not blocking them moving for Hoyland. They're not going to pay 40 million up front. Believe me, I understand that. I think we could get a loan for obligation for like 30 to 35, and that would probably work for us. And we'd probably accept it if that came in. And it would help us and help our situation. You know, one of the things to bear in mind as well is that you know, one of the things that we have to bear in mind in terms of this is that, you know, from a financial standpoint, yeah, I'm watching on the side. I'm watching on the side as well, as you see on these penalties. Vitinha got it. Is that we can take money as needed from the credit line, the line of credit, in order to do a deal if we know that a like if we know that money is coming in. You know what I mean? Like if we know that money is coming in, then we could probably do that. But they do need to be responsible essentially on the finances and know that we have resources to get money if we need it, if we're expecting the cash in the future. So something like an obligation probably does work for us too. If it's in the right terms, basically, because then we can take the game, early. Take the money early to go spend with the knowledge that there is revenue coming in the future to offset that. That is doable. So just bear that in mind as well. That's why that's kind of important. Bruno next. Bruno Pen. Yep. Hold on. I'm gonna watch this one. Ronaldo can't watch. Got it. Automatic from the spot, Bruno. There you go. Automatic. Evening, James. Some Spurs ITK is suggesting they're trying to hijack Mbeumo. Your sports source is still suggesting all okay. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. It's not that I'm so far behind. It's that there's a delay between me and you. I'm not really behind. It's just there's a good 30-40 second delay between me and you guys in the chat right now, from where I'm streaming. No, I just wanted to watch it. Whew. So yeah. So if we can line those things up, that'll be good. The Garnacho, that should have been a save. The Garnacho thing is really, really, really interesting. That one is really interesting. What do you guys think about that? I wanted to ask because obviously, we've made it clear. Here's a little bit of context and information. Okay. A little bit of context and information on that thing that came out yesterday from Fabrizio, where he says, where am I located? I'm in Colorado. Where he says that Garnacho is definitely leaving. That there's Italian clubs, Leverkusen, as well as 3 Premier League clubs that are in for Alejandro Garnacho. He would prefer to stay in the Premier League. I do know that. But one of the things I can say, that's a great pen. Side netting. Not as good as Maguire's, but pretty good. One of the things I can say is that it's been made very clear in the last 24, 36 hours, some decisions on those guys like Garnacho, guys who are, potentially being sold or who United are trying to sell to ensure that they know, that they need to go and to start putting it together. And start putting together a, where you're going to end up and looking at your options. Morata, save. Costa, let's go. Never in doubt. What's the opposite of automatic? What's the opposite of Bruno? Because that's Morata. What's the opposite? Morata was always going to miss. If you're going to pick one player in that lineup to miss, it's going to be Morata. Huge save. Ruben Neves next. It's going to appear like I'm behind you guys. Don't worry, I'm okay. I'm watching live, same as you. Neves. Got it. Portugal wins. Congratulations, Portugal. Bruno wins. Ronaldo wins. Portugal, Nations League champions. Let's go. Good for them. That's awesome. Viva Portugal. There you go. There it is. No, I definitely wanted Portugal to win. I have zero connection to Spain. I like Portugal. I like the Portuguese league. I like the Portuguese players. I'm a big fan of Portugal. I love Portugal in general from a footballing world standpoint. Always a big fan. Dallo. That's good stuff. Huge. Huge. Huge for Cristiano. Huge for Portugal to get another victory. Impressive stuff. Yakarish rejected big Al Hilal offer. Let's see. Can you post a link? Are you capable? I don't know if anybody else can. What's the guy's name? And then I'll get back to it. I'll talk about Mbeumo and a few other things. According to Abu, where do you guys see this? Can somebody give me like an account that's saying it, or for one of the aggregators or something? Might not be real. I don't know if people are just repeating themselves now. Would you consider fan interviews for say 500? Tell me what you mean by that, GC. Fan interviews for $500. You mean like bring somebody on here with me for 500? I was in PBL. All right, give me 1 sec. Source Ebola. That's fan interviews. Oh, like you wouldn't have to pay me 500 for it, but sure. I want to do videos this summer. I would like to this summer do some videos with you guys, okay? Where I could pick a few people and have you guys come on and do some interviews. Talk to people. Thank you, Bilal. I'm glad you caught me on there, and I've had a ton of fun. All right, here. Let me pull up this tweet, okay? I'm gonna pull up this tweet, and then we'll discuss. Oh my God. How confident are you we're still getting Mbeumo? Very, very confident. Very confident. I hit the wrong button because I'm stupid. So just 1 second. Translate. Okay. Well, I'm trying to translate it, but essentially, I'll read it out. It says, what it says is Al Hilal have been trying to recruit him, and what it translates to, they've made the first offer for Victor Gyokeres, which was rejected by the Swede. It says Al Hilal's recruitment process stalls, eager to make a strong impact at the Club World Cup after hiring Simone Inzaghi as coach. The Saudi club has gone on the offensive for Victor Gyokeres, but the 27-year-old Swedish striker who scored 39 goals last season declined the club's initial offer, 35 million salary. Holy shit. Okay. So he has turned down 35 million. He's turned down 700,000 a week. Okay. So I think what that tells you is that our man Gyokeres here does not want to go to Saudi and wants to probably has somewhere else in mind. And as you would know, of course, in my mind, that somewhere else is probably United. Okay, but that's pretty big. 700,000 a week, huge. That he's turned down that move to potentially go somewhere else, and as we know, as we've been talking about, United. So I truly think that he's going to join us. Honestly, I really do. But it's not him right now. You know what I mean? It's us. We have to make a move. We have to make a move. If you've just kind of have gotten in, I did discuss Gyokeres at the beginning, so feel free to rewind for the first like 20 minutes because I talked about it in detail on where things are at from my perspective. If you have just joined, I know the game just finished, so a lot of people just kind of came in here. If you're in here now live, I spent a good while in the first 20-25 minutes discussing it. Yeah, same interview like Northern Ireland guy. We pay money. I for one would be up for that. Obviously, just a 10-minute spot if you did 5 on show. That's money. Yeah, that's a good point, GC. And look, I'm certainly open to it. It's something I'll definitely be looking to organize. Hopefully, maybe in like the next week or two, I'll get a date set up and I'll get some people set up to do so I can get some fan opinions from you guys, people like you in the community, to come on and do some each 5-10 minutes, say your piece, all of that, and put it together for a bigger video. Okay. So look, the reality is like Fabrizio shared, like I had shared in from last week. We made contact last week. We're very interested. I believe he's very interested in us. It's not a matter of Champions League. The Champions League was a means to the end financially, and financially we need to clear the decks and wait for him. Essentially, wait until we can have some space to make a move. Now, my personal opinion. Remember, my opinion. Don't aggregate. My opinion is that if somebody were to make a substantial move where we'd have to worry about it, then we could move sooner. But I do not think that's going to happen because, frankly, I think we're going to end up getting him. I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't personally think that. That's just my opinion. But if something else was close, I think we could probably accelerate it. But in the meantime, we must get Mbeumo done and get decent financial terms to help us move forward on the next steps of what we want to do. On Mbeumo, yeah, it's an opinion channel. Yes, on Mbeumo, look, I've not heard a single thing. I don't know everything. All right, so I can only tell you what I've heard. Yeah, I might do that. Maybe that's what I can do. Cash up, right? GC, I agree. We probably are going to need to put some cash up front for Sporting because they're a club that does need cash. And so realistically, it's better if we can sell and get some cash coming in. But on Mbeumo, look, again, I do not know everything. There's no doubt about that. Never claimed to. So all I can say is that I've not heard anything, not even like the whisper of a fart, to imply that we have concerns over somebody else getting in for him on this deal, that it would interfere with it for us, or that we would lose him to Spurs or to something like that. I've not even heard the slightest whisper of it myself as of yet on Mbeumo, that we're going to lose him or anything, right? Like nothing. All I know is that things have gone well. That's all I've heard, that things have been going well on the discussions for Mbeumo. And as I kind of said yesterday, that I understood we were getting somewhere on the overall fee and such, but there's still details to I did just say the whisper of a fart. Yeah. I just like, that quiet, like, not even that, not even like the slight wind blowing, type of thing. But yeah, no, I haven't. And I just haven't. So that's the truth. I don't know of anything. I've only heard things going well. I don't really want to get into much more on it, because in terms of the details of the negotiations, because like there's just, who knows, like when they're in those latter stages of talks and things like that, who knows? Things don't happen every single day. You know what I mean? Like things don't happen every single day. There's always logistic matters involved in this kinds of stuff too. It's not like this is the only thing they have to do all day. These guys have a job. They have jobs that have a lot of stuff to do, a lot more than just, negotiating one deal. It's not like they're sat in a room for 8 hours going, so what's the next offer? And just arguing about it back and forth. So there's time in between different stages and different parts of the deal, and we're going to have to wait. Maybe nothing happened today at all. Maybe nothing happened yesterday. From when I was live last, maybe nothing happened. Maybe we've had no discussions, no more talks, nothing, but we're going to come back with a new offer soon. Maybe. I don't know. How can I? I don't have that much up-to-date detail, but only thing I've heard was good things as of that time. So I'm not worried about anything yet, and I don't think that anybody should personally, because there's not been anything to kind of suggest there's not been anything to really suggest that there's something to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like what we haven't heard anything until somebody who's really well sourced on this, anybody who's really well sourced on this says, hey, by the way, negotiations are breaking down or are getting more difficult, or they're not finding agreement, or anything like that. Until that happens, which I don't think it will, we have nothing to worry about. Okay. We just have nothing to worry about. So I don't have the slightest hint of a worry right now on Mbeumo. That's to me is not the issue. Then there's international games, there's people traveling. I mean, there's people in different places doing different things. It's June 8th, all of that. So on Mbeumo, I've not heard anything that would give me pause for concern. I've not heard of anything at all on that front. But what I do know is that I've only heard a lot of positives about Gyokeres, and I've only heard positives, as I shared yesterday and before, on Mbeumo as well. I cannot predict, here we go tomorrow. I can't predict any of that. It doesn't matter. The deadline means nothing to me. It means nothing. I don't know what the deadline would mean for us, to be quite honest. We don't even have to register him right away. Cunha's not even registered right away. We have an agreement on Cunha. I don't even think Cunha will be registered until the next next window opens, whenever that is, June 14th or whatever the hell the date is, right? I'm not even sure Cunha will be registered till then. So it really doesn't matter to me. The dates are unimportant. Could be tomorrow, it could be later, could be whenever, Thanks for subscribing. That means very little to nothing. Don't worry about the dates. Just doesn't matter. It could be at totally different times. What we want is an agreement as soon as possible, so we don't have to worry about it. So that when we're in preseason in July, then we'll get into it. In terms of what's the point in registering a player in June? I don't know. Just for fun, I guess. Just for fun. But I think it's mostly to help the team you're buying from. You know what I mean? They want the money early, things like that. That might help for them. That's all. Fantastic channel. Love the content. Thank you. What are you talking about? Are these bots? Is that a bot? Anyway, what else do we got here? There was a questions about, yeah, so in July when we return for preseason, we're going to want these players in place. One I thought rather interesting was this Donnarumma thing. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about Donnarumma as a keeper? Like, do you think he's one of the best keepers in the world? Do you think that, like, here's all I'm saying on that. Like, cost wise, obviously wages are pretty high. He's, I don't think he's going to be super expensive. But he's really good, but he's also a Champions League winner. So, like, the wages are kind of justified right now. Like, he's just been one of the best keepers in Europe, right? So if that's, you know what I mean? Like, so like wages are all balanced around what's going on. Definite upgrade. Interesting. Like, you can justify like paying a bit above the normal wage structure for a player like that without messing things up. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think we will get him. Do I think United would be interested? Yes. But the reasons I don't think we're going to get him are because he's going to be very expensive wage-wise, and I don't think we're going to be able to move Onana away, right? That's really the main problem. It feels like it's contract negotiations for sure. You know what I mean? It feels like it. But I do think we're probably interested. But I would say that just because we're interested doesn't mean there's anything, likely in that kind of deal. So, I would certainly take him. I mean, I would take much of anything from as far as a keeper goes. But yeah, I think it's much more likely still we go for one of the younger guys we've discussed that we've been linked with, the Lamens and mainly that as the main name that we've been linked with that I think we're quite interested in. I think it's much more likely we're gonna go for that. If we want an older keeper, someone like Savage makes more sense. But no, because again, it's going to be really difficult to move Onana on. Then I don't think so. At the same time, PSG. The only thing where I wonder about this is PSG are probably going for Chevalier. And so what's going to happen to Donnarumma? Where is he going to go? I mean, I'm not saying there won't be clubs in for him, but like, is somebody else going to offer him those big wages? Or, is there something possible that we can get done here? That's the only thing that opens the door up for me a little bit. Yeah, I think his agency is Raiola. It's the only thing that opens it up for me a little bit, just from a logic standpoint, is where's he going, after this? Chevalier is very good, and I expected for some time that PSG would go for him. So, yeah, Saudi maybe, yeah, Saudi. But if he wants to stay in Europe and be competitive, Madrid want him on a free. Yeah, they want everybody on a free. That might be their play, is make him run his contract down a year and then get him for free next season or something. That's certainly possible, no doubt about that. But yeah, I hear you. Chevalier would be somebody I would really like, but just seems we've had interest in the past, but it just seems impossible. You know what I mean? Like it's just never gonna happen. What was the other thing I wanted to discuss? Anything else today? Appreciate y'all being here. What was there anything else I wanted to discuss? Oh yeah, and the other thing on Mbeumo, okay, just to be really really clear from a pure logic standpoint, by the way. Okay, look, he was already approached by Tottenham, Arsenal, and Newcastle. Okay, just want to make that very clear. Tottenham, Arsenal, and Newcastle. All three clubs, or three depending on where you're from, had approached him. All of them tried to convince him, and he chose United. Things happen differently than they appear like publicly. Okay, so I would be shocked if he didn't already know that that there was a good chance that Thomas Frank could end up at Spurs. You understand what I mean? Because everybody knew that Thomas Frank might end up at Spurs and that Postecoglou was probably getting sacked for weeks. And if we all knew that, then I'm pretty positive the people behind the scenes had a damn good idea about that. You say Spurs before the Frank deal as if there was no discussion about Thomas Frank to Spurs before 2 days ago, which is completely wrong. Thomas Frank has looked like the guy who's going to join Spurs for months now. And on the back end, I would bet my life that plenty of discussions between Spurs and Frank have been happening for quite a while before this happening, right? Quite a while before 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 this, right? So yeah, I would be completely shocked. Like this is a long time coming. This Frank to Spurs deal. So I would I'm quite positive, quite positive that they all knew Frank was probably going to go end up at Spurs. And I would guess that that was a part of the discussion too. Is like, well, yeah, we're not sure, the manager thing, all of that, and we're looking at managers. Your manager Thomas Frank is somebody we might consider. I'm positive that everybody knew, because in these football spaces, it's not like it's these things are known. Everybody would have known Frank was already being approached by Spurs, and especially since the end of the season, I'm sure this was really active. So they'd already had contact. They were already certain Frank was open to it. So I'm positive that that was happening already. So I'm not particularly worried about it. Who was this center back we were linked to today? Indica? Indica? Good night, Sagiv. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting one to me. Big, tall, left-footed, as everybody that Emram wants tends to be. Um, a good progressor of the ball as well. I think he's pretty above average on the ball. That's an interesting one. I still am not sure that we will. Yeah, left-footed, big, tall, left-footed. It's just this is like Amarim's thing, is these lefties. Really likes left-footed players. I'm not sure if we will. I like him a lot. I'm not sure if we'll get to a center back this summer, as I've mentioned before, because it's going to be much lower down our priority list. But one of the things that's kind of amusing me here, and that I'm just speculating on. Yeah, we were linked to him before too, which is why I think we could get him. But he was linked to Spurs at that time as well, so I guess we'll see. But one of the things that I do find kind of funny is like we keep getting this like you start the summer and it's like, okay, well maybe we can get one or two, we'll get a couple of players that we like, and then we'll have to deal with it next summer. And I keep getting these ideas. Joe, good to see you. You can go back to the first like 20-25 minutes. I talked a lot about Yakarish in the beginning of this, if you want, just by the way. If you want to go back to the first 20-25 minutes, if you're here live now, the first 20-25 minutes are good. I'm not going to make this a super long live, so if you haven't caught the whole thing, that you can go back, and I'll talk about things tomorrow on the red carpet and on the podcast as well. So make sure to catch all of those things too. But I keep thinking like, okay, we want 2 10s, a striker, a midfielder, a center back, a goalkeeper. We want to move through like all those things, and probably another like left back or something, right? Well, I keep thinking we'll get like 1, 2, 3 of them, and then we want another 6. But as time goes on, I keep noting that I think we're working the way that we kind of expected they should be working, which is rather than go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, they were working on like all 8 at the same time. You know what I mean? Like they're working on all 8 at the same time and saying, um, working on all of them, and then like just knocking them down when they're ready financially to do it. And I wonder, how far can we go? I wonder, how far can we go? How far through this plan are we actually going to go? Because I figured we get 3 or 4 this summer and keep a small squad. But then, like, how far can we actually go through this plan to rebuild this team? You know what I mean? It might be huge. Maybe we get it all done in one summer and they're just like, we're just going to do it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. And obviously the money is going to be a big factor in that. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. But yeah, it's impressive that we're just like, keep lining them up. So I'm not shooting down anything in terms of talking about like when we start getting links to the other positions that are maybe not priorities this summer, because why not? You know what I mean? Like, why not get everything done? it's not the Glazers. They're not running the club. I understand they're still here, but they're not running the club. They're not setting a thing of, well, we get 3 in, 3 out, like Solskjaer said. We're not doing that. We could just get a lot of them done. Yeah, I hear the concerns over AFCON. I mean, it's a one-time concern. That might be 3 or 4 games. I do hear the concerns over that. Um, you know, but I just wonder, like, what if we just go and work on getting like everything done? You know what I mean? That would be pretty impressive. I did speak about a lot of midfielders the other day that I think we could look at. So I'm keeping my eyes peeled, wide open now for any further people. Um, I'm getting my eyes open for links to like any of the players that we've named or people that match their profiles. Any of the players that I know we've been looking at. If somebody, you're seeing some reckless, oh, I'm seeing some people and I appreciate them. No, but seriously, I'm looking and I'm saying with all the names, I think there were 6 or 7 names I spoke about yesterday and on Friday in terms of the midfield. If I'm really curious now to see if we can start to get some links to them. Like if we make an approach for one of them, someone's going to report it, and then I'm immediately going to be like, yes, that's real, and all of that. So what was the Paulinho one? Because I wanted to ask you guys that because I brought up Paulinho and I said, what about him? We were interested in the past. He's obviously a Sporting guy. He's obviously an Amarim guy. He's essentially maybe a better Ugarte for 25 million. He's bigger. He's a bit more better on ground coverage. He's a bit better of a tackler, more high efficiency. I would say he's like a more refined Ugarte in a way, and physically a bit more imposing. 25 million. It seems like the rumor price. Bayern he's at Bayern, but what is the he fits, did they report it or did they just like reference somebody else? You know what I mean? That's the thing. I wasn't sure about that. Is flopping in the Bundesliga a red flag? I really don't know, James, because succeeding in the Bundesliga seems like a red flag. I mean, I'm really, really, really ready for Florian Squirts to 1 out of 9 duels today for Florian Squirts. 0 out of 5 dribbles. I'll be there. I will be ready for this guy to flop for 150 million for the British record. I'm ready. I'm so ready for another Bundesliga flop. It's finally time for Liverpool to make a bad signing. It's finally time. I'm so ready, man. You have no idea how ready I am. I am so ready. He got locked in the penitentiary by Malo Gusto, okay? Well, get ready because you're going to face much tougher fullbacks and such in the Premier League. Promise you that. You will. You absolutely will. You absolutely will. They were referencing other reports. That's what I thought. So I don't know what reality there is in that, but I'm very, very curious if one of the names that we have mentioned. I'm just curious if one of the names that we have mentioned, comes up. That's all I'm saying. Like, if one of those comes up, then I think we're going to be okay. Then I'm immediately going to think, yeah, that's probably a good link that we are going for. So yeah. Hey, we're just having fun. Look, it's a Sunday night. It's 11 p.m. over for you guys in the UK. So 2,000 of you here. I appreciate that so much for some of you guys over there. Your name is Chris and you're 30 minutes sober. Congratulations. So I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me. I've pretty much got through all of the news that I wanted to discuss. So, but I'm open to talking about it. I'm open to continuing to talk about certain things and answer any questions in the meantime, but I don't want to make this one too long because people want to go to bed, but I don't want to keep people up. If you're trying to get to sleep for your week of work, then, thank you guys. And I appreciate you and keep smashing the like button because we're closing 600. We can do better than that. I don't know time zones that well all across the world. So how about you in Nigeria? What time is it for you there? Just after midnight in Namibia? Okay. Well, yeah, like I said, if you got to get to sleep, go to sleep, you know? um, Here's a question. Here's a question for you. Here's a question. It's 3:15 in LA. Yeah, you're okay. Here's a question for you. I've seen a lot of debate on this point. I've seen a lot of debate on this question on this point that I am curious about you guys. Um, I've seen a lot of debate on a striker versus a midfielder at this point in time. And see, for me, and I think from the club's perspective, this is what they think too, right? But from my perspective, it's not even close that the difference between Højlund and a top striker coming in is worth double to triple the points that an upgrade in the midfield is. I'm not saying we don't want to improve across the board, but I don't think that I don't think that we can survive not having a striker. The amount of times, Cunha and Mbeumo, all those guys are going to be getting balls into the area that need to be scoring, it's huge. I think that a striker is significantly more influential than a midfielder in terms of dragging a team up. I think that there's a lot of different midfields that can work. I think there's a lot of different midfields that can work, but you can't win games without scoring goals. I guess this is the way that I look at it, right? You can have a perfect midfield and you can draw every game. You could have the best midfield on earth and you will still draw every game. Top strikers will win you games on their own. And I think that we've always had, even though we've had amazing midfielders, don't get me wrong, I think we've always had more in the goal scoring area than we have in the midfield consistently. We've always had good hard workers at minimum in the midfield. Don't get me wrong. I'm not playing guys down, but we've always had unbelievable goal scorers when we were winning things. You know what I mean? I think that a midfield raises the bar on your consistent performances, on your ability to control games and do all of that. But, I look at all the games, like I said, like Forest, midfield doesn't help. Spurs, midfield doesn't help. Those game states, like those last 60 minutes, you know what I mean? The midfield control doesn't really help. Yeah, you look at Arsenal, they have this amazing midfield. They have all the control in the world. It's all foreplay, no penetration. You know what I mean? Part of my vulgarity here. But that's how I see it. It's like, that's Arsenal. When are you actually gonna, get it in the net? When you need it at the most important times. You can have the best midfield on earth and the most control, but without that striker, you won't win games. But strikers and goal scorers win you games all the time. That's what I think. That's how I see it. That is the way that I view the game myself. But I'm open to disagreement. I think people can disagree plenty, but here. The point in scoring goals is that you still score goals. You know what I mean? First message on here, my friend from Oldham, north of Manchester. You're doing amazing content, always informative. Need to watch you more. Keep up the great work. One love, MFC. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. It's been true since Wenger. Right. I mean, it's like they're always trying to walk it in the net, but they don't really have the balls to put it in. Possession don't win you game, goals do. I agree. And again, I think that look, and if you think about the last 10 years, no, you're right, Luciano. They have a good midfield, and a midfield raises your consistency, right? A good midfield means you're going to stay consistent. You're going to be a good team. No doubt about it. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to downplay it. But if I think about our best years, which have equaled or surpassed anything Arsenal's done, let's be honest. We've won trophies, gotten Champions League in the same season. They haven't managed to do that. Okay. Would PSG have won the Champions League without their midfield? I'll tell you who they definitely wouldn't have won the Champions League without: Doué, Dembele, and the other one. Excuse me. They wouldn't have won without them. You can't take any of those pieces apart, because to win Champions League, you have to have both. Of course, you have to do great. I'm not talking like the highest level. Of course, you have to do both great. They wouldn't have won without João Neves and Vitinha. They also wouldn't have won without Dembele. He's like the Ballon d'Or candidate here. You know what I mean? Like, most of the goals they scored were incredible goals scored by their forwards. Kvaratskhelia. There you go. Right. Barcola and Kvaratskhelia. Like, they wouldn't have won without those guys either. You know what I mean? Madrid always winning all those Champions Leagues, with great midfielders, they still wouldn't have won them without Ronaldo and Gareth Bale doing incredible things at times. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. But, to win Champions League, it's a different discussion. Obviously, to be perfect, to be the best, you have to have everything. There's no debating that. I'm not debating it either way. But I'm talking about in the instant of what's the bigger problem. I think it's far and away strikers, and I think that's what most people think too. Yeah, 86% fair. Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's my thinking on it too, and I'm pretty sure that's the thinking on the club. City won the league with, and I wanted to say that, James, because it's a really interesting thing here where teams have actually won. Yeah, James, they won the league without a striker, but to be clear, they didn't have a classic 9, but they only had, Kevin De Bruyne doing an unbelievable job playing in sort of a false 9 situation, right? One of the best players of all time, mind you, had to be in there even to win the league. But they needed Haaland to win in the Champions League. Correct. We won because we had strikers who could change the game in '99 and all that. Yeah, totally. So look, I think we've got to have a striker. I think we have to have strikers. I think the strikers are going to change the game more than anybody else. Strikers can win you games on their own so many times. But yeah, I was going to say, like, if you go back the last 10 years, right? What were our best seasons? Ten Hag season 1, all right? What was working? What was the reason? What is the thing that's in common with the best seasons that we had? It's not the midfield. Because one thing I just want to say that people may disagree with me on here, and that's fine. I watched a Pogba, Matic midfield, and I watched us still be pretty turgid at times under them because we couldn't get the ball in the net, because we still struggled to score goals. Our best seasons have been under Ten Hag first season, Rashford going crazy, going absolutely crazy, right? Goals, like Rashford going nuts, basically a striker scoring goals every single game for 3 months straight. Just a straight up carry job. You know what I mean? You go back a bit, nothing's worked for too long, right? Because we've been, we've been ultra reliant on it. Tacticals seem to think 90% CM over striker don't trust. Right. Yeah, I would agree. Well, I'm just saying it's splitting opinion a lot. But I think a lot of people really like how Arsenal play. For me, I hate it. And I hope we never end up in that kind of situation. I hate it. I hate it. To me, that is the worst direction football could go, is look like Arsenal permanently. I hate it. It is, that will end the sport for so many people. How can you fall in love with the game? How can you get kids to watch 635 passes sideways and backwards around without ever trying to score, without any dynamicness at all? How can you get kids to enjoy the game in that way? There's no future in that type of football at all. But yeah, that season with Rashford, the other season I would say with like Cavani, when we had Cavani, Martial, Cavani, Rashford and Greenwood, we scored like 100 goals, and that was damn good stuff. That really was. That was damn good. But it was, those are the best seasons. We scored a lot of goals on our best seasons. We had good forwards who were firing in our best seasons that were more enjoyable. And that was the main thing that I really that I see. Like the closest we've gotten is in those situations. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to have a midfield and all of that, but you could see that just good scoring carried us into top four. Yeah, Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood scored 120. I mean, that is it's absolutely mental how much we scored in that whole time, right? Like, just insane numbers over there. I don't think they scored one. I think they scored like 70 something, and we ended up scoring like 120 over the whole season or something like that. But they were the best scoring front three in the league at that time, from what I remember. And what I would say is that was, like, you can be really good with good forwards. And I think it helps to have them and then build up the rest of the team. The problem is we never did. You know what I mean? We never did build up the rest of the team at that point in time. We never did. We always like screwed it up after that. Once that was happening, what did we do after that summer, right? We went for like Sancho and Varane and Ronaldo, and like we just didn't do the things we should have done. There were times when we were supposed to do the right things, and we didn't, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that scoring goals is never a bad thing. Yep, and I think that, again, top forwards will. Matic Podge, yeah, I agree with you, Arg. I feel like people misremember it. We had a lot of poor games with Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Like, it wasn't exactly like we were insane all the time with them. And it was all the ball quality in the world, but it was okay. But it didn't actually, like, it wasn't nearly as amazing as people make it out. Like, we weren't that good. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Like, it wasn't that incredible. I remember so many frustrating games that we couldn't score. You know what I mean? Still. And it was like, cool, we controlled the games, but we still didn't really do that great. And I get it. They're way past their prime and all that. I hear you. But what carried us was mostly the forwards doing forward things, one of the things that I think was going to be really interesting to see is when we have good forwards, how much better our chance creation got. That's what I want to see. Yeah. Well, not enough too many piano players, and not enough players to carry the piano, like Fred said. We played better with Fred in big games by dropping some quality for some physicality and some effort. We played better. Should we be worried about Mbeumo to Spurs? No, there's no reason for me to be worried yet. If a reason comes along, be worried. As of now, we've not heard anything that would make us worry. A decent striker and keeper equals stability. I agree, Dwayne. I agree. Yeah, LVG ball was a lot of control, and it was also putting you to sleep. Ironically, Pogba would slap an Amram system. Yeah, I would say so, because one thing I do disagree with is I think that Pogba was often painted as lazy, but he wasn't. Like, if you ran again, ironically, I'm just gonna say, if you did have Pogba, he would be a better fit than Bruno in the current midfield as an 8, skill set wise, because on the ball, his ability to turn, to take it under pressure, to bring it out of pressure, to move the ball in those long switches and things like that, you couldn't find anybody better in the world for me. At most of the on-ball qualities you would hope to have, in a player like this, and mostly because his dribbling is miles and miles and miles ahead of Bruno's, miles and miles and miles ahead of Bruno's in that sense. So that would fit. So hey, Pogba's available. Should we take Pogba? Should we take Pogba? Should we one last ride? One last ride. There it is. Okay, Ebola. There we go. Here's the original report from Ebola. Thank you, Red Report, for that. Still can't get this stupid thing to translate. What are you doing? There you go. Thank you. Giving preference. Ooh, it goes a step further. Hold up. Hold up. It even takes it a step further. Hold on. This is even better news than I thought. Sorry. Pog back? No, sorry. It's even better news than I thought. It says what I read out earlier. It says this approach has come up against the wishes of the man in the mask, who wants to continue his career in Europe, giving preference to the Premier League. Who else could it be? Who else could it be? Who else could it be? Who else but us? What better time than now? You know? There's only one team. I mean, unless Arsenal screw it. To be really clear, the one thing that is true, all right, is that Fabrizio as well does confirm that Arsenal are still in contact for him. But they are pursuing Benjamin Šeško. Now, if Liverpool come in and steal him from the shadows once again, I will be very upset. However, if I'm not mistaken, the individual who was responsible for a lot of their Portuguese dealings was Michael Edwards, if I'm not mistaken, where they were able to nab all these players from Portugal for a little while, like pretty like under the radar. If I'm not mistaken, it was Michael Edwards who was the guy doing that. And he's not there, right? Am I wrong? But they're also spending 150 million on Wirtz. Gyokeres is not, as far as I have heard in any sense, the type of striker that they want for Liverpool. But I don't know. Yeah, PTSD from Nunez, probably. Hopefully. I've also got PTSD from Nunez. I don't think... is he still there? Okay, so he is there. He's back. Okay. So maybe secret deals. You know what I mean? Secret deals. So he's there. I don't remember, but apparently he's there. But no, yeah, look, he's at FSG. Evers is CEO of football. Okay, fair enough. But no, look, I mean, 150 million for Wirtz that they're going for. I don't really have any belief. You know, I don't really have any belief. So, what does Paul O'Keefe say? He says Tottenham are currently looking into Mbeumo. If they get Thomas Frank over the line, they'll consider a move for Mbeumo. Here's the thing that's really stupid about that. All right, that report. I'm not even calling the report out, but like they already looked at Mbeumo. Like they already looked at Mbeumo. Like like are you going to admit that you already got rejected by him? Because if the report doesn't say, here's my point. If any report from Tottenham side doesn't say we already approached Mbeumo and we got turned down, then it's not worth anything. Because acting like you've never looked at Mbeumo is false. You already looked at him and he said no. So it seems to me to be quite a bit out of date without an acknowledgement that you already looked at Mbeumo, already got rejected, And you're saying if we get Frank over the line, we're going to go back in for him. Meanwhile, he was already getting sold by Thomas Frank at Brentford. He was literally already leaving Thomas Frank at Brentford to go from Brentford to Manchester United. So, yeah. If we buy this front three, what's realistic? We back? Yeah, I mean, I would say we're back. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but you know, but we're back. But yeah, we're back. Yeah, I mean, you know. But no, I mean, let's see what happens. All right, it's been an hour and a half. There's a lot of you guys here. I appreciate you all. Like the stream on the way. I've got a lot to do tomorrow. Um, I've got a lot to do tomorrow. I'll do the podcast with Phil, be on the red carpet, and I will do another, another live. Nothing's gonna happen between now and Fabrizio video drop. All right, hold on. Let's see what's in there, and then if there's anything of interest, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, we'll end it here. Did it really? Is there anything interesting? Are you sure there was a new video? No, there's one 4 hours ago. No, there's nothing else. Unless I'm missing something. That was 4 hours ago, the last one. But yeah. I believe we're in for a few. I think after this we'll get a few like new names and things like that. But yeah, guys, thank you. I think we'll just end it here. Smash a like on the way out. We'll get to 1,000. I appreciate you guys. People keep asking if we're back, and right now I'm thinking, yeah, we're back. No, yeah, we'll do that. We'll get a video made if we do sign Gyokeres. We'll get a good video of that because that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm thinking we're back. We'll get that. We'll get that. We'll get to John Wick. Hopefully this time for real. But hey, let's see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully we don't wake up to Mbeumo hijack deals off. Everything's going to shit. That would be nice. Well, hopefully I don't wake up to that. You guys won't wake up to that. One of the worst things about being in the US and covering this is sometimes I wake up and I've missed the really good news, and sometimes I wake up and I've missed the really bad news. And I have to wake up and then figure out what the hell happened. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying like I'm just saying that it's kind of annoying. Hey, let's see what tomorrow brings, okay? Either way, there's still more to be done on Mbeumo, but I haven't heard anything except progress, so that's good. And then it's looking more and more positive for us to make a move for Yakarish once we get some outs done. But we do need to hear some more on that too. Okay, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for hanging out this evening. I appreciate you all. Smash a like on the way out, and I will see you later. Okay, have a good one. Appreciate everybody. Likes, comments, subscribes. Turn your notifications on. Join the membership. Join the Patreon. See you later, everybody. Have a good evening. Goodbye.